is San Diego State going to go to Penn State and win this weekend? There is very, very low expectations around town. I mean, people have been beating up on San Diego State all week. There's really one way, Billy Ray, to fix all of that.
Win.
Just win the game.
That's it.
I mean, look, Penn State goes on the road in the first game of the year, and they lose at Temple. Who the hell is Temple? Like, I know who they are, but can anybody here name the conference that Temple plays in? You can't do it. Temple's a nobody in college football. Then they turn around the next week, Penn State, at home, and they beat Buffalo 27-14. Not exactly what you would call an impressive win. The following week, they beat Rutgers 28-3. Again, Rutgers is no college football powerhouse. Penn State hasn't played Ohio State. They're not playing Michigan State.
No.
The point is that I'm not giving up on San Diego State and Rocky Long and this team.
Yep.
And why can't they go in there and shock the world? Again, they're not playing Alabama. Here is Rocky Long. He is on the Corky's hotline, and he is getting ready for tomorrow's game at Penn State with the Aztecs in Happy Valley, Pennsylvania. Coach, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I love your attitude.
Well, I mean, this whole week has really annoyed me, and if it's annoyed me, I can only imagine how you feel about it. I mean, are you annoyed by what's taken place this week?
No, because I try to shut all those things out of my mind and just prepare for the job at hand. I don't worry about that. I mean, I do read the newspaper. Most coaches say they don't and do. You know, they lie.
That's right.
I do read the newspaper, and I listen to the radio, and I watch the news at night, and so I know what's going on, but that has nothing to do with my job. That has nothing to do with preparing a team to play. Has nothing to do with the great kids in my program. So the hell with them.
Well, you know, Rock, one of the things I really liked about what you said this week was I can't lie. I can't hold my tongue. That's probably one of my character flaws, if you will. And you said, look, you want us to play against these kinds of teams? You want us to win? It's real simple. We need the same kind of money. And the one thing that bothered me about Kevin Acey's piece this week, which was he can't win the big game, he hasn't won the big game, and the experiment is over, is a piece that was written in the state of Pennsylvania. Penn State, $68 million in gross revenue. San Diego State, $12 million in gross revenue for football. Penn State's net profit in football, $36.5 million. San Diego State reports a net loss of $600,000. I was saying to Billy Ray, it's like the Yankees versus the Padres, and that's what's happening to college football. Would you buy that?
Well, I think it's been sort of like that always, but in the last 3 or 4 years, the difference between the have and have-nots has accelerated dramatically. I mean, there was always a difference, but now the difference is astronomical. I mean, it's just mind-boggling, the difference in the revenue and the resources that some schools have that others don't.
Then just answer this so that for those that agreed with Kevin Acey then, why is it that San Diego State isn't Boise State? What is the difference between San Diego State and Boise State financially?
Well, I don't know the exact figures, but all you have to do is get online, and they have a nice little deal about their new football-only building that I think cost them $35 million. And in that building, you'll see what they have as compared to what we have. And then you'll also see the 15 different uniforms and the 16 different helmets that they can wear during the season. We have one uniform, we have one helmet. Now, people say that doesn't matter, but the real thing about the discrepancy is how you can recruit talent. And recruiting talent, the people from 18 to 21 that we recruit out of high school and junior college, they are into that. They are into having their own locker room, their own weight room. They're into having 15 different uniforms. They're into being fed better. They're into all those kind of things. And it doesn't matter where the school is. They're into the ones that have the fancy deal. And what I think's happening, since the Power 5 conferences have those dramatic differences, we made $800,000 in TV revenue, and every Pac-12 school made over $25 million in TV revenue. Even the lower division schools in those places, like in the Big Ten, let's say it's Indiana. In the SEC, say it's Vanderbilt. Those guys, their revenue and their resources are so much different than ours. Okay, a kid will go there knowing he's not going to win, as opposed to going to a place like us that can win.
Just because they're on TV more, have a better weight room, have a better meal program, et cetera, et cetera.
That's basically it. We're in the past where we were able to get the guys that would have maybe gone to Indiana. I'm just using them for an example. We could get those guys. We're not getting them now because the facilities and everything's so much nicer. Now I say all that. I still think that because of people, you can still get it done because there's a lot of great kids in this world that develop a little later, mature a little bit later, that, hey, maybe have a chip on their shoulder. And if you get enough of those guys and coach them well, you can at times compete with those guys and win 10, 11, or maybe all 12 games. We just haven't got to that point yet. And at my former school, we started beating those people in year 7 and year 8. I mean, we beat Arizona back-to-back. We beat Missouri on the road. But I think that if and I'll have to go check for sure, I think that was in year 7 and 8 of our program. It wasn't in year 5.
Rock, one last thing before we talk about Penn State. We're talking to Rocky Long, who's on the road at Penn State with the Aztec football team. They play tomorrow, and you'll hear the game here on 1090. Game's at 12:30. I just want to ask you about scheduling. You and I and Billy Ray have had this conversation that the schedule, particularly the home schedule, isn't great. When I look at Penn State, they're playing 5 straight home games. Buffalo and Rutgers they already played. You guys this weekend, Army, and then Indiana. That's 5 straight what they consider winnable home games in a row. Can you just talk to all the people that are listening today about what you've done in terms of the future of the San Diego State schedule so that it's a better schedule against better opponents?
Well, I think the reason we play people like Penn State on the road is financially. That's the only reason we do it is because it's a financial bonus to our athletic department as a whole. But so what we have done with the help of our athletic directors and my suggestion, what we have done is that we've scheduled almost every Pac-12 team home and home basis. So this year we went to Cal and didn't play very well. They beat us, but they're coming to San Diego State next year. So what we're going to do is get a payday at a home game. Rather than flying all the way to Penn State to play Penn State for $1 million, we will probably get 50, maybe even 60, 65,000 people to our game next year against Cal. And then we do have Stanford. We have Stanford home and home. We have UCLA home and home. We have Arizona home and home. We have Arizona State home and home. We've got them all except for SC and Oregon. Now, as soon as SC and Oregon will say they'll go home and home, we're going to have them home and home too. We just finished, or maybe it's not finished yet, we've already made a deal with Utah home and home. So what we're going to do is get quality opponents at home as well as on the road, and it's not a big travel expense, and we should have a payday at home.
Okay, very good. We're talking to Rocky Long on Scott and BR on the Mighty 1090. You can hear that Rocky knows what the issues are.
Yeah.
And it's not just some, and I hate to speak on somebody else's behalf, it's not just some big excuse of we don't have as much money. It's also our schedule isn't as good, and we've got to fix that, and it's clearly getting fixed. So, Rocky, that takes us to where we are today, which is getting ready for tomorrow. Can you please tell us, because we don't get to scout and get to know Penn State, what is Penn State all about? They don't, on paper, based on who they've played and what they've won by, they don't look like the Joe Paterno Penn State juggernauts of years past.
Well, I think what happened is they have supposedly an NFL quarterback that preseason was hyped to be one of the Heisman Trophy candidates and one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the country. So they went into the Temple game, and they were in a spread offense, and they tried to throw the ball around about 50 times, and it didn't fit the rest of their team's personality. It might have fit the quarterback's personality, but it didn't fit the rest of their team's personality. So the last 2 games, they said, the heck with this, we're going back to Joe Paterno football. And now they're running the ball and not throwing it very much. And what he throws are, if you press cover, he's going to throw fade routes on you. Otherwise, there's going to be 3-step drops, and they're going to be slants, quick outs, a little bit of curls, digs, stops. And he's getting rid of the ball before you can get pressure on him. And then they're using that with play action just to get rid of the ball. And he's completing a pretty high percentage. But what they're doing is pounding the ball because they're big and strong up front. They've got 2 or 3 tight ends that are 6'6", 250, 260, as well as a big offensive line. Then they've got a couple running backs that are about 225 that got decent quickness and decent elusiveness. But what they do is pound you. They run over you. They run through arm tackles. They beat on you. And that's why the scores the last 2 weeks, they haven't scored a lot, but physically they have whooped the two teams they've played.
Rocky, how do you start the building of an upset in your guys' minds? I mean, how do you get your players in the frame of mind that they're going to go there and they're going to win this game?
Well, I think it's built through the program. I think we have some young guys here that don't know or have no idea what to expect tomorrow and probably are a little nervous and a little scared. But the veterans in our program, they have, through the years, have been taught through the weightlifting program as well as the way we practice. We don't worry about anybody. I mean, we're not nervous about it being too physical. They're too big. We're not nervous about it being too big a crowd. Our guys will go out there and fight, and they'll play well. And if we cause some turnovers and make a big play or two and get to the second half where the Penn State guys are a little bit nervous, there's no telling what's going to happen. Right. Because I think we're just a little confidence away of being okay.
Rocky Long, and tomorrow San Diego State playing at Penn State. You'll hear the game here on the Mighty 1090 at 12:30. Coach, we wish you the best of luck. I hope you've dialed up your speech for tonight or for tomorrow's pregame, because I would love for those kids to know that it is being written in town that you should be fired. And I know they're aware because I saw a couple of these kids at the press conference. Wouldn't it be great in front of 107,000 people at Beaver Stadium to pull off the upset? Coach, we wish you the best of luck.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Rock.
Coach Rocky Long.